Rama Rama Hari Hari. All right, now I'm going to assume we're online. Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome to the essence, studying the essence of the entire Vedic literature. Shri Bhagavad Gita, as it is by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, our Lord and Savior. Why? Because He's giving us Bhagavad Gita. And here He is, speaking the entire Mangalacharana. Please repeat together if you know it, or as much as you know it. Drive my chariot. Bhagavad Gita, as it is. I'm just going to read the first translation of the first verse in the Mangalacharana, which is Om Gyantam Randasya. I offer my respectful obeisances unto my spiritual master, who, with the torchlight of knowledge, has opened my eyes, which were blinded by the darkness of ignorance. I find knowing the meanings and remembering the meanings helps me to be more conscious and focused and connected with the purpose, the meaning, the personality, than just knowing the Sanskrit. And I find I tend to become rote. I tend to become just kind of automatic, mechanical when I'm just doing the Sanskrit. And Prabhupada wanted us to know the meaning of everything we sing.
sir.
All right. You didn't know? Maybe you can. Anyway, go ahead. Okay, and there's a long delay. Krishna is doing something very cheeky. He's showing me what I was saying about what kind of associate I am or we are of Krishna. I'm probably thinking that I'm way above where I really am. So I'll read the first line that we read already. Being an associate of Lord Krishna are all ignorance. But Arjuna was put into ignorance on the battlefield of Kurukshetra just to question Lord Krishna about the problems of life, so that the Lord could explain for the benefit of future generations of human beings and chalk out the plan of life. So Prabhupada says that being an associate of Lord Arjuna was beyond all ignorance, right? So Arjuna, being a pure associate of Krishna, is beyond all ignorance. Most of us are not exactly on that level. We're associates, but we're of a very different quality. There's the pure associate, and there's the impure associate, and that may be less impure or very impure. Different levels, and according to the purity, the quality of our connection with Krishna, that determines what level associate you might say we're on. And that's almost impossible. That's practically impossible. Everyone's on a different level. And it's not that it's very important to qualify. Of course, Prabhupada does say we understand how we're advancing. We should note. There are ways to note and to know exactly where we are, or pretty much where we are. That's a different discussion. So I'm just making the point that there are different levels of association or associate with Krishna. Everyone's associate with Krishna, even the materialists, the atheists, the demons. But we're talking about direct association, kind of one of the rasas. So Arjuna is a perfect associate of Krishna. And the mistake, as I was starting to say before, that often in the conditioned state, we make the mistake of thinking we're on a certain level of association with Krishna, or we're a certain type or qualified, maybe more than we are. Or there can be the other side, to be artificially humble or negative about ourselves and consider that we have no qualification. And in one sense, it's true. But every time we chant Hare Krishna, every time we engage in service, association, hearing, chanting like this, we're advancing. Prabhupada uses the metaphor of fire will burn. If a child is ignorant of what fire will do, what the fire will, puts his finger in the fire, it'll burn and he'll cry and it'll be pain. So in a positive spiritual sense, devotional service acts. Nothing else, nothing gets in the way, nothing stops it, whether we perceive that or realize that or not. It's advancing, so it's important. When we may feel discouraged or feel like, oh, I'm just doing it mechanically, and we may be doing it mechanically. If I feel bored, or I feel like I'm not making any progress, or I've been chanting for 3 years, 10 years, 30 years. Now I'm not feeling, don't feel like I'm very different, or my mind's still as crazy as ever. So there's both those sides types of artificially arrogant. Oh, I'm very, and that gets into areas of imitation of Krishna. Even Sahajiism. Sahaji very cheaply. I'm good. I'm as good as a gopi, or I'll be Krishna and play with the gopis with some lady friends in my neighborhood. So all kinds of weird things, strange, misleading, degrading philosophies, different apasampradayas, false or negative lines of philosophy. According to someone in there, the lust. The main point of this sentence, or one of the main points of this sentence, I find, is that it was put into ignorance. Now that sounds very strange, because putting someone into ignorance, that's horrible. Taking them away from their, pushing a dark, unconscious state is cruel. Takes us away, takes them away from their reality of their eternal, blissful, fully conscious life. But that's not what Krishna with Arjuna. So maybe, and I'll say, I understand that's a different kind of putting and a different kind of ignorance. So kinds of Maya. Mahamaya, which is the illusion, is directing, controlling, and this material, the material cosmos, including our consciousness. And there's another kind of Maya, Yoga Maya, which Krishna puts his most intimate associates and followers, devotees, into, because it enhances, like the gopis. We sing the Damodarastaka prayers. I think I mentioned last time that Krishna is only attracted or enchanted. I don't remember the word. Those whose mood, whose eyes are tinged with the mood, loving devotion, with no concept of awe and reverence, no mix, no awe and reverence, adulation like that. They don't, whether Krishna's the supreme personality of Godhead or not, doesn't matter. They just love Krishna, the gopis. And Arjuna is on this. He's not a gopi, but he's a devotee. So he really sold out to Krishna. He was ready to give up his life. He went onto the battlefield. Many people, including relatives, something that would be a consideration for most, if not all, people. Arjuna was completely sold out, and yet, because of this particular type of ignorance that Krishna put him into consciously for a purpose and reason, Arjuna was behaving like one of us. Why? Is the purpose. It's so powerful. Krishna did that. He put Arjuna into ignorance for a positive, healthy, valuable, important reason. So that Arjuna, Krishna, Prabhupada says, about the problems of life, so that the Lord could explain them for the benefit of future generations. So Krishna wants to benedict us. He's eager, and he arranges things so that we have the best possible, according to our choice and our surrender. our acceptance, even theoretically. A little bit before in the introduction, we read that even one accepts Krishna as the supreme person theoretically, with that, Prabhupada says, with that submissive mood. That's a whole nother subject. Accepting something theoretically, how is that a sign of a submissive mood? Good question. In this, it is. We accept as a supreme theoretically, based on what? Based on the devotee here. Prabhupada personally is telling us. We do it in according to cyclic succession, according to Srila Prabhupada's mood guidance, example, then we can understand submissive attitude, even though it seems mechanical or just intellectual. That's already good enough for Krishna. At least in the beginning, you don't stay on that platform, but in the beginning, Prabhupada says, and we can Bhagavad Gita. Wow. So our mood, as Prabhupada says in the Nectar of Instruction, the attitude of the follower is everything. The attitude of the follower. So is looking for, always eager to find chances to bless us, to attract us, to bring us home, back to Godhead. He's suffering, he's missing us. So he's always looking for opportunity. So he arranges things. And that's a fact for everything that happens to us. As we advance, we become more conscious and more accepting. Not even a blade of grass moves without the sanction of the Lord. What to speak of Krishna's sending winds or cyclones or scorching heat or freezing cold, whatever our external circumstances are, to bend us a certain way, like a blade of grass. So we want to become more and more conscious, and not just conscious, but accepting that Krishna is doing, he's arranging in our lives, looking for ways to attract us more, to engage us more. So is our mood of acceptance. And that doesn't mean just accepting anything. It means going along with the plan. And that's mentioned in the same sentence at the end. So that the Lord could explain the solution to the life for the benefit of future generations of human beings, and chalk out the plan of life. So who's chalking out the plan? Krishna has arranged it. So Arjuna would ask, and Krishna could explain the truth, the eternal truth, and which includes the arrangement, although it's that aspect is temporary. So Krishna is chalking out the plan. And then Prabhupada says, then man could act accordingly and perfect the mission of human life. So Krishna is chalking out the plan. There's already a plan there. And we can act accordingly and perfect our human lives in this very lifetime. Prabhupada said that. In this lifetime, don't have to wait. So Krishna's making the plan. And when right now, I'm struggling to create a 6-month or 12-month plan from now into the future. I'm really struggling. And from this, I understand that if I'm struggling, somehow I haven't understood well enough what Krishna, because Krishna has a plan already, and I want to, what do you call, link into it, connect into it, step into it, act according to Krishna's chalked out plan. Now, Krishna knows what that is. That doesn't mean it's necessarily fixed, which is a complete contradiction. We like contradictions, right? Then we can find out how to resolve them and understand there are no contradictions in what Prabhupada says. So I'm trying to make my plan, and the more I'm aware of Krishna's plan for me or direction for me, not that I don't have my own independent thought, intelligence. Krishna gives me those things. So I need, when I'm planning, and this is good advice for me for today and tomorrow as I do my planning, to be, the challenge for me is to be in the mood that Krishna has a plan for me. There is a best way to do it, so to speak. What would be most pleasing to Srila Prabhupada? Now, how exactly the details of that I want to open myself to, because it's there. It's already there. It's not that I'm making a plan on my own, which generally I think I'm doing. I'm doing it for Krishna, but I have to work it all out. Now, in one sense, that's true, but in another sense, if I'm thinking like that without knowing that Krishna has a plan and looking at for what that is more in that mentality, then I can improve if I do it. I can leave the anxiety behind more and more. I can leave the concern about, is it right? Have I got it right? Probably got it wrong. Mind likes to kick us around, so we may second guess ourselves, and that's okay. At the same time, the challenges like that, maybe the discouragement or the I can't do it very well, I'll just go through it mechanically, then we can take that so-called negativity, discouragement, depression, whatever it is, anxiety, doubt, second guessing ourselves, as an impetus, as a motivation to open ourselves further to Krishna. At least accept more deeply that there is a plan already there. Arjuna agreed to fight, and after Krishna explained the whole Bhagavad Gita to him afterwards. But one thing that Krishna said was, basically, whether you fight or not, all these warriors and soldiers, kings, etc., they're already killed. I just instrument. And you get to choose, Arjuna. Arjuna, I've explained everything to you. Now you choose what you do. Prabhupada says Krishna never with a minute independence. So we get to we have a choice all the time. Of course, when we decide fully that we're going to surrender, and whether we stick to that steadily or not, we continue with the conviction, the commitment, whether we slip up or not, which we will, usually, from time to time, then it becomes clear. And we understand more and more what Krishna's plan is. And we gradually understand what to do and what not to do all the time. What to do in the face of COVID mandates, pandemics, old age, disease, death, the material context, the material circumstances. what to do. And the only answer, well, the general answer is we go to the pure devotee. We study Srila Prabhupada's books, and we discuss them together. Prabhupada says, for example, I think I mentioned this last week, that the way to become detached is to discuss spiritual knowledge coming from bona fide authority with other devotees, to discuss it. So it's, excuse me, we study, we read, that's necessary, and we discuss. Satatam kirtayan tomam. Devotees derive great pleasure and bliss, enlightening one another, and discussing about me. It's Krishna's words, and Prabhupada says it. If we want to advance further, adjust your life in such a way that you can discuss more, not just going to class. And that's why I always lament that we don't have a more direct interaction, the potential here on this restream. Ideally, we'd be able to speak to each other. So, as I've always encouraged everyone, please, 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 at least put your name in and where you are, or Hare Krishna, Hare Bol. Nice to know who you are, where you are, more personal, or especially any questions, any doubts, any realizations, put them up on chat, and whether I answer them immediately or not, usually I do. Whoops. Then we can expand. It's much more exciting when there's interaction, discussion, Ishtagosti style, discussing the instructions of the spiritual master. So let me know who you are, where you are, what you think so far about what I've said, especially how it might apply to your life. How being in our type of ignorance, how's that? And what do I think about Arjuna's type of ignorance? Now, Arjuna got put in ignorance for a very short time. Prabhupada said basically during the time of the Bhagavad Gita, which might have taken 45 minutes. And they're in the middle of a battlefield. There's hundreds and thousands of soldiers on the other side, and hundreds of thousands of soldiers all around us, figuratively speaking. On this side, Arjuna and Krishna. And Arjuna understood Bhagavad Gita a very short time. So let's see how short we can make the time it takes us to fully surrender and fully hear and surrender to and commit to applying Krishna's instructions according to our psychophysical nature, according to Krishna's plan for us. And not that everyone's plan, Krishna makes one plan for everyone. As an overview, yes, to reconnect and reestablish our relationship with Krishna and go back to Godhead. That's the overall plan. But every one of us is on a different level. Every one of us has different propensities, needs, attachments, etc. And so there's an individual plan for each one of us. Krishna knows what it is, and he is eager to share it with us because he knows what's best for us. He knows what's best for us. Whoops, seems like one of your streams is having connection issues. Stand by, we're trying. All right. All right. So he knows what's best. And that's hard to accept because I know what's best for me. Very clear. I'm very intelligent. I'm very experienced. not only I know, but everyone else should listen to me as well. Because I know everything you need to know. I can tell you how to sort out your life in 5 minutes. Line up, get in queue. Just give a donation. That's one of the aspects of coming into being in the material world, because I'm as good as God, or I am God. I know everything. I'm omnipresent, all loving, all caring. I'm the friend of everyone. Hare Krishna. So I'm going to finish there temporarily, at least, and look for your thoughts, your comments, your doubts, questions. At least your name and where you're at, if you're live. We have an audience here, Bhakti Margdasi, my wonderful wife. She has her, and listen carefully, because she always has very good questions.
So my question is, in the process, can you give us some specifics of how you get to know Krishna's plan and co-create? You know, like tune into what Krishna wants actually in the planning process. What specific steps could you take?
Right. So I'll repeat the question. Would I give some more specific tips or advice or understanding of how to apply how to connect with Krishna, tune into Krishna's plan in the specific detailed planning process? What are the steps? So I don't have that written out or structured in my mind, but I know one thing very clearly. When I follow Srila Prabhupada's instructions, the basics, the foundations, chanting 16 rounds, avoiding offenses, especially avoiding offenses, I get so much realization, and it's easy for me to plan. Now, this is overall. It's general, so I don't know if it would be reasonable for me to try to tell Bhakti Marg or any one of you individually what would be best in your planning. That is one thing I would always say. At the same time, in our spiritually based life coaching, in our trainings, in our seminars, in our courses, transformative communication, we do go into the individual questions, or how to adjust my life, how to change this, how to strengthen that, how to give up that anartha, that unwanted thing. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, in one quote, actually says that the personal exchange, he actually, in the wording I have seen, he uses the word coaching, is better or more effective than what he calls the platform preaching of a class. So, because in a general class, you can't give much, if any, direct and personal instruction, especially if it's a sensitive issue. It's not possible to make it confidential there. So that's one thing. Establishing the connection with Krishna. So because when I chant very seriously, regularly, and struggling to avoid offenses, I get connected with Krishna. That is our connection with Krishna. So as much as I carry that on into the rest of my day, and specifically when I do my planning, I'm coaching myself right now. that much it will be easy for me to plan, or clear. I'll be more tuned in to Krishna. And the second thing is rising early, attending Mangalarti, and I'm reestablishing that in my life. I've got 4 days regularly so far. I'm going to expand it into 5, 6, and then 7, which I used to do that every day when I was young, bodily young, living in the temple for years. So just in case you want to know, when we have our Mangalartiks up here in Whangarei, Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays and Fridays. Now, where it is geographically, that doesn't actually matter because I have Zoom connected every single day. And if you send me somehow your email address the day before, or send me a text, I'll give you, see if I can do that now, give you my email address and my phone number. Then you can let me know the day before or before that if you'd like to join in the next morning. We start at 5 a.m. So it's very handy. I mean, you can even be still in bed and leave your video off and take part, you know. I mean, no excuses, okay? And here's my email address and here's my phone number. 0220358328. So we're very eager to have your association wherever you are, whoever you are, whatever kind of associate, whatever level of associate you are, or whatever level of ignorance you have or don't have, please join us. Just let me know in advance. This is my email address. You can email me or text me, 0220-358-328. And wherever you are, even in another country. In fact, even if you're in the spiritual world, it'd be great to have you with us. And you can inspire us. So, yeah, I haven't heard from anyone yet. Please don't be shy. But I don't know if that's helpful, what I've said so far about steps in the planning. Those are 2 steps for me. And the more I do that, the more I'm connected with Krishna. And I notice how, you may have noticed this, that in the morning, especially when I'm practicing my sadhana very seriously in my regular spiritual activities, I feel more connected with Krishna. At the same time as the day goes on, motive passion comes in and gets intense, busy, do. I forget that I'm a human being and not a human doing. And then motive ignorance, a little later, if I examine my consciousness in the evening, when I allow that ignorance to affect me very much, and my consciousness in the morning, even now, like 2 different planets, 2 different universes sometimes. Hare Krishna. So anything you wanted to say about that? We probably have some.
Chanting your rounds very carefully and then getting up from Mangalarti. Those 2 things.
Getting up early, yes. Yeah. And chanting rounds early as well.
Those were the 2, yeah.
Those are the 2 foundational steps, I would say. And that, then I'm sure there's more specific things we can get into.
Could be prayer.
Prayer, absolutely. And chanting Maha Mantra is also a prayer. Please engage me in your service, Krishna. Oh Krishna, oh Lord, oh my Lord, oh energy of the Lord, Sharani, please engage me in your service. And if we see Lord Chaitanya as at least representing Krishna's internal energy, because he's in the mood of Srimati Radharani, we can pray to him as well. almost include him in that, oh, energy of the Lord, please engage me in your service. Yeah, we want to serve Lord Chaitanya. In fact, the most recent Krishna came most recently. He's the one we're following, learning from, serving, cooperating with through his bona fide general, Srila Prabhupada. All right, so we're going to leave you. Anyone want to jump in and say Haribol or anything? Did you want to add? Okay. Thank you for all those who are here. And of course, you can listen to it later, but let me know. Please let me know if you'd like to join us any morning at 5 a.m., at least those 4 mornings. So far, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. We're going to expand it into another day, but that's it for now. We're going to make that steady and solid, no matter what. Then that steadiness, regularity is such a probably essential quality or behavior, practice in terms of our preaching. And for ourselves, charity starts here. So we do that ourselves, even if no one else joins us. Sometimes I'm doing Mangalarti alone. I'm never alone, of course, spiritually, but in terms of people in bodies, material bodies. But at the same time, I know that sometimes there's no one with me. I do it alone, and that's been a bit of a challenge. But it's calling me to be more conscious, more constant, and more independent in terms of I am the servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna. And maybe no one else thinks or says that or believes that in the whole world. Look at Prabhupada. He went to the West, and in one sense, everything around him, there was no one. No one was thinking. He was so strong. And one of his strengths was his regularity, his punctuality. And we know in deity worship that punctuality is one of the 2 most important things. Prabhupada says in deity worship, punctuality and cleanliness. So punctuality and regularity, steadiness in maintaining a service or a practice or a ceremony requires the mode of goodness, which is the most difficult one to maintain. What to speak of, even for a little while, what to speak of all day, what to speak of when I'm sleeping. So that's a challenge. It requires a mode of goodness. And yet, if we do it, if we do it, we become regular, steady, committed. Even no one else is doing it. I'm going to do it because Prabhupada wants me to do it, and he's happy. He and Krishna and Lord Chaitanya are happy when I do it, and I get the results. I become stronger. I become happier. I become more connected, tuned into Krishna's plan, and my life flows. And that affects. So basic, apparently simple, almost sometimes unimportant things: regularity, commitment, punctuality, taking responsibility for how I live my life, how it benefits me and my advancement, my family, my community, and anyone I'm sharing Krishna consciousness with. Regularity, steady, and we know for children, steadiness in home, steadiness in relationship with the parents and other significant others. That regularity is such a foundational strength, a pillar in their lives. And of course, they will follow that example and become the same themselves. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sadhu Sangha ki jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is ki jai. Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. Let us now take this opportunity to offer our respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees who are just like desire trees and can fulfill it everyone, and who are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. Vanchakalpajabhyascha kripa sinuveva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. Thank you, everyone.